Hey everyone, today I want to take you behind the scenes and show you how I designed and created BYTE90. I want to start by showing you the hardware that I use to create BYTE90. So one of the main components that I use is a product from Seed Studio. It's this ESP32S3 microcontroller here. So the main reason why I picked this microcontroller is due to its size, but it also has a built-in battery charger, which is really useful when you want to power a device with like a rechargeable battery. Now to hook up this microcontroller, what I did was I designed this custom PCB here. Now the PCB is a first iteration of my design in which I use it to kind of solder on this additional ADXL 345 accelerometer. So with a custom PCB, this integrated design allows me to kind of slot in the shell ESP32 unit, and it fits in a way that it's kind of plug and play, so it's easy to solder and you don't have to worry about wires. Now my goal has always been to have a more integrated PCB. So with this second iteration, what I've done is I've included the ADXL components right onto the PCB itself. Now with my last iteration on the PCB itself was really just cleaning up the pin ports. This made it very integrated to my design where I only exposed the amount of pins that I actually need. Let's talk about the display that BYTE90 used. So originally when I was sourcing displays, this was one of my first options. It's a very simple OLED display that only displays in a single white color. Now the second option that I looked at was, your standard TFT displays. Now the only problem with this is that, I didn't really like the quality of this display. And I did consider other TFT displays like this one. This one is, a much better controller as well as higher resolution. However, the thing still remains with TFT displays is that you have a backlight, and that backlight doesn't really provide the same effect as an OLED where, with OLED screens, the black is truly black, right? You cannot tell that it's a screen where only the animation here is light up. So this leads me to the actual screen that I ended up using. And this is a 1.5-inch RGB OLED display created by Waveshare. The reason why I picked this display is one, it's an OLED display, and two, it's also a colored OLED display. So this will allow me to display like the vibrant animations as well as keeping that aesthetics where the black is truly black. So you can see here with the complete BYTE90 module assemble, it's very integrated and everything, is pretty nice and clean, right? There's minimal amount of wires. And I created this case where it makes assembly pretty easy. So the first thing that slots in is actually the button itself that controls the functionality available on BYTE90. And then the actual PCB and ESP32 unit kind of just slides right into the casing itself. The housing itself then is designed to just simply slide into the frame itself, which fits perfectly, and then it kind of holds the module unit in place. So with the frame, I designed it around the display itself. So you can see here that the dimension will match the display. The tricky part of this design was to play with the tolerance that could hold the standoff that the display comes with. And this allows me to simply press fit the display into place without having to screw anything in. So it becomes a really toolless design. Now the last element to BYTE90's inner frame is just the battery compartment. So this is just something I created in a way where it holds the rechargeable battery in place so that when you're shaking BYTE90, it doesn't rattle around within the housing itself. So you can see by now that BYTE90's design is really specific towards the components that I picked to use for BYTE90. Because when you're creating a product, that's what you want to do, right? You want to design the product around the technology or the hardware that you're looking to use. You can see here that BYTE90 is not really enjoying how I'm forcing him inside his housing. And you might be wondering if he's interactive. When I created BYTE90, there was a lot of thought around user experience because I'm a product designer. What I thought about were the key features that I wanted to have within BYTE90. When you're creating something like this, playing an animation is pretty simple. But the challenge is how would you create an interaction where you take an interactive input and create an emotional output for the user. So I've done this by leveraging the data I get from the ADXL accelerometer. I've written logic where it detects tap and double tap, as well as like other motions such as shaking, sudden movements that happens, and each time you engage with BYTE90 this way, it plays a contextual animation that makes it feel like it's alive. And this is provided through what we call micro interactions in UX. This helps provide a delightful user experience because it builds a connection with the user as they play with BYTE90. Aside from micro interactions, BYTE90 also has a set of features that you can control directly with the button that's mounted below. So when you press on a button, what you could do is you could toggle communication mode. You could toggle it on or you could toggle it off. But what this allows you to do is connect with other BYTE90 devices so that they could communicate with each other. Now, double pressing the button will put BYTE90 into deep sleep mode. So when you're not using BYTE90, you could save on battery life. This feature is also automated, so when BYTE90 is inactive for a long period of time, it will go into deep sleep by itself. And to wake it up, you just simply give it a tap and BYTE90 will wake up from deep sleep. Now, another feature I included within BYTE90 is to enable an experience where it's easy for users to update the firmware or update animations that I would release in the future. And this is achieved through OTA updates, so users could connect directly to BYTE90 with their phone, and this way they could simply update the animations or the firmware when new features are released. BYTE90 is a pretty simple but very thoughtful design, and I hope you guys get a chance to enjoy BYTE90. And lastly, I really want to thank you all for your support. Follow me and give this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.